Hello there. My name is Tamara Bartmus with Light Some Living, and tonight or today I get to walk you through some details about the lunar eclipse, the penumbral lunar eclipse that is happening on March 25th at 1 a.m. Mountain Time. Now, I know that's different for different time zones, but that's where I'm at, so that's what I'm indicating. It's going to be, and let me share my screen so you guys can see some of these details as we walk through this. It's going to be, oh, I should remove some of these extra things, at 5 degrees, 7 minutes. And because it's within 17 degrees of the moon nodes, the north node and the south node, that's what's creating this opportunity for eclipse season to begin with a lunar eclipse. So we're going to dive into what does that look like and what significance does it have, as well as what are the different factors that we want to pay attention to with this eclipse season. Beginning, because the lunar eclipse is sort of like the middle part of a 3-part series, as we are edging into Libra-Aries node access playing out, and then it's going to be exiting the end of this year with our final Libra-Aries eclipses as well. So we've had this energy showing up since probably a little bit last year, last March. There was that energy showing up for us, and it just continues as the nodes slowly move through a sign over a period of about 18, 19 months. And then we shift, and we will be shifting into Pisces and Virgo in that next opportunity. And what this is really identifying, highlighting for us is really the opportunity to examine our relationship with ourselves and our relationship with other people. And so if that is an important thing in showing up in your life, then make time to consider that. Like, really sit down and say, what is it that I'm holding on to? What is it that I need to embrace more of? And what am I holding myself back with? I think that's a valid question to be pondering on during this eclipse season. The other thing I would just highlight about, let me just say, everybody's eclipse season will look unique depending on where your nodes are where your nodes are in comparison to your own birth chart. So if you have your birth chart printed out and you have the exact time of your birth chart, you'll be able to indicate, well, where is 15 degrees, 34 minutes? Where is 5 degrees and 7 minutes? So the full moon is at 5 degrees, 7 minutes, but the nodes are at 15 degrees and 34 minutes. So that really brings this question of, like, what areas of my life are most impacted by this? For me personally, and let me just pull this up so you guys can see, just as an example. For me personally, the 15 degrees and the 5 degrees Libra, even though I'm a Libra rising, this energy is hitting my 12th house and my 6th house. So if you go find on your birth chart, where is 15 degrees and 5 degrees Libra, and the same on Aries, then you'll know what area of your life is going to get this attention and upgrade. And it does invite you to consider, like, oh, this is not just about me and relationships and how I show up in relationships or how relationships are working for me, but it is really more about, like, and how does that impact this area of my life? For me, my spiritual day-to-day, that is the sort of dynamic that it's being presented. So I would encourage you to get familiar with looking at your birth chart and point out 15 degrees and 5 degrees in the Aries and Libra to identify the house or the area of your life that is mostly going to be impacted by this lunar eclipse, or for the whole entirety of the eclipse season. And possibly, like when eclipse season started, well, the last eclipse season back in October and September, and then the one before that in the spring as well, like that also presented energy at the beginning of Libra and the beginning of Aries. So again, like, this will shift as the different eclipse seasons present themselves. And so for me, I'm going to see that play out, not just in one or in two areas of my life, of the 12th and the 6th, but in come next fall, I'm going to see it showing up in my first and seventh house, which will be extra potent for me personally, because those are also Libra-Aries houses. Does that make sense? So hopefully you take the opportunity to get more familiar with your birth chart and these nuances that we're going to help you make this even a more revealing and powerful experience, because our growth really comes from having more awareness of maybe our subtle and subconscious patterns that are compromising our growth, and really where we can take risks, move forward, and grow in new ways. And if there's anything that this season is inviting is really like, it's time for you to grow. And old relationships could be the thing that is keeping you in old patterns in relationships, even could be keeping you stuck in like, this is what I have to do. And it's just easier. It's easier to stay here than to move forward. And in that place, that's just, you're right. It could be easier, but is it really part of your divine path? Is it really in alignment with who you are and can become? And that's really what we get to explore. So let me return to my recent Libra Full Moon chart. And just keep in mind that this is, again, mountain time. So yours might look a tad bit different depending on where you're at, but that's okay. The energy is still present for us. So, and as I go through this, I just realized I'm going to remove, I use a software called Astro Gold, and I want to, why is it being this way? Oh, my preferences, there they are. I was like, I thought I had that window open. I'm just going to remove the asteroids here, some Black Moon Lilith, and I'm just in the part of fortune. And I'm going to keep these up because these are the planetary. I thought that those aren't planetary. Some of them are mathematical, but like, we're going to stay focused on the planets and the nodes for this, and Chiron. Those are the things that we're going to focus on as I go through our full moon review tonight. And hopefully that helps you get comfortable with like, oh, what is the opportunity for me here? All right. So first off, as we look at some of these energies, I'm going to start simply by just focusing on that the sun being in Aries indicates the opportunity to integrate with new awareness who we are and who we want to become. And that Aries energy is really, hey, I want a fresh start. I want to grow. I want to become more than I was. I want to prove my capabilities here. I want to take action. I want to move. I want to use my body. It really is this strong energy that really creates growth. And, you know, we see that in spring energy in the Northern Hemisphere, where it's like, hey, let's burst out of the ground towards life and to create anything. And it takes a lot of energy to do that. And I think it's so beautiful that Aries provides that spark of fire that helps us grow out into a new experience. And I think that's really valuable. And we have then the moon opposing it at this full moon in Libra. And that opposition is what invites us to be objective, to say, wait, if you're going to grow this way, we need to make sure that we feel safe for you to grow this way. So if you don't do the self-examining, then you're not going to feel safe for that change in your identity, and you will stay in old habits, habit loops, and old patterns. And so you have to get the moon on board with this shift in identity and desire for growth. And a way to do that and to integrate your moon's energy with your sun energy at a full moon is to help you link who you want to become with the past. It's like this interesting experience of linking the present, the future, and the past together in an integration. And the nodes help us do that. And we'll talk a little bit more about that, but just recognize that you won't allow yourself to grow if your past self isn't on board with that. And so inviting, and that's the moon energy, that's your emotional, more past experiences energy. And so you have to do that work, whether it's healing your sense of safety within yourself, your sense of safety with a mother figure in your life. Those kinds of patterns play out very strongly with the moon. And so when you let that energy come to the table and you have like this discussion with like, okay, mother self, oh, okay, like inner child, let's talk about what safety looks like for me, for us to move forward here. And that integration happens with, again, saying, this is how I want to move forward. Moon, it's sort of like this internal family systems in a way, but with your planets, where you're like, okay, I want to move forward in this way. This is who I see myself becoming. Moon, are we on board? And if the moon can say, yeah, because you've done this in this past, or this has worked out in the past, or I see relevance here, and links it to where you want to become, then that shift will create that identity, or linking will allow for progress. It will allow for movement forward. But if you can't link some of that past energy, that moon energy, to where you're trying to head or become as the sun moves through Aries, then that won't, then you'll feel stuck again and you won't be moving forward. So I'd really encourage you to take some time to ask yourself some questions. Another layer to understanding a full moon is looking back 6 months on where you were on the Libra new moon. And a Libra, any new moon provides this opportunity. It's a natural integration of the moon and the sun, where they sort of link up, sort of docking station, I would say, of energy that comes in and says, okay, let's realign here and let's make sure we're in sync with our goals and purposes. And that was what would have happened 6 months ago. In my notes, that would have been, I think it's like September. Oh, this is my other notes. September 17th, I want to say. And I have it here. Hold on. I'm just referencing a workbook that I use for the new moon. Yeah. Oh no, sorry. It would have been October 14th. And that would have been the Libra new moon in 2023, October 14th, 2023. So think back 6 months ago and really ask yourself, what was it I wanted to see a change in how I created harmony in my life, harmony in relationships, and what I wanted to see in relationships. It doesn't have to always be in Libra energy. It doesn't always have to be like a romantic relationship. It can be just an intimate connection with somebody that you value and that they value you, right? It can also show up in business relationships, and just any time where you are feeling like this is a collaborative kind of experience, and it's more than a friend or an associate. It's actually like at a next level there. So in that review of 6 months ago, if you had the opportunity to make some intentions around that new moon in October, did you have some clarity or some inspiration, some intuition into what that needed to look like? And when we come to the 6-month mark, right where we're at now with this full moon, it's reevaluating with more clarity because of the opposition now in the aspect of the moon and the sun, and this invitation to say, do we see things more clearly now? And are we in that clarity? Do we have a better idea of how to move forward, of how to be better in this relationship? And with the sun moving through Aries, it is really this opportunity to take responsibility for ourselves. Now, the theme plays out because the nodes are in the middle of the sign at 15 degrees in Aries and in Libra. And I think that is just such a powerful opportunity for us all to examine this same topic, but more intensely because the nodes are moving through that. And in some of my notes, one of the things that I wanted to highlight about, let's see here, as I go through my notes. The nodes help you. The South node is going to be something that will help you identify what here is safety. what is secure, what is normal, what is old habit, what is the things that I might just not want to change. It actually carries a little bit of the vibe of the moon in that way. It's easier to stay in our south node experiences. It's old karma, old energy. Sometimes that is so much easier than trying to change ourselves and move into and towards the direction of the north node. But the north node is really the invitation to learn something new, to step into something new, to try something new. And people who experience a lot of South Node can be a draining point. It can actually be something that makes us feel physically and mentally, emotionally, and even spiritually drained. And that usually becomes, that drain comes because we're trying to give energy here in this space. And in this terms, it's in Libra. So we're trying to give energy into relationships in our life without the counterbalance of understanding how to embrace and grow in an individual way, in the Aries way of independence, of action. And so we fall into codependence and sometimes patterns of, I would say, another pattern of Libra, end of the moon there, end of the nodes there, would be more like martyrish. Like, oh, it's easier if I just don't fight it. I just don't want to fight it. I just let it be what it is. It's better if it's what it is. I don't want to ruffle feathers. I'll just keep my mouth shut. I'll let it be what it is. And we're too scared to assert our independence. And yeah, that we are paying a price for not allowing ourselves to step out of those old patterns and habits. Even though they're easier, they're not the best thing for us. And so the North Node in Aries is reminding us to step in that direction of assertive action, of trusting yourself, of having a relationship with yourself, of knowing your needs and knowing how you want to move forward and becoming a stronger individual. The balance of Libra Aries energy, the paradox and the balance of it is actually really interesting to me, that people want to have healthy relationships in their life, but they don't want to do the personal work that will generate that healthy relationship experience. You can't have a relationship really, truly, without whole individuals coming to that relationship and like working things out, negotiating, putting it on the table, discussing, like weighing the things like the scales. And so if you think a healthy relationship is you rolling over and not expressing your needs, that will only get you so far before the relationship really becomes imbalanced. And then you are paying a physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual cost for that. So the invitation, again, with the node shift is to say, what is it that I feel I need right now to be able to be a stronger individual and to be able to bring that into my relationship. So when the North Node, when you look at this axis of the nodes during a lunar eclipse or whenever, it is the invitation to gather new experiences, new information, growth through the North Node that then sort of transits into and expresses through the South Node. When you try to do this on reverse, it really ends up being, that's where you get drained, right? You're trying to give some from an empty cup. You're trying to pour from an empty pitcher, I guess. So really the opportunity here is to look to the North Node, follow the intuition, tap into like that practice of saying, being spontaneous, taking action and learning before, like almost taking action before you thought it through a little bit, just to get more comfortable with being an independent individual, and then take that experience back to the relationships of your life and sort of integrate and discuss what that looks like. And that strengthens the relationship as you have the individual energy, bringing more energy back into the relationship. So hopefully that makes sense and gives you more context into the potency of what this lunar eclipse is providing us all. Like, I see so many marriages falling apart right now. I'm not surprised by that, because people either they have there's a spectrum of expression of Libra and Aries energy, and they have maybe gone one too far in the pendulum swing of that expression on either side. And so when we look at the zodiac chart, we're looking to integrate the opposing paradoxical signs. So integration of Aries energy and Libra energy and bringing that into harmony. And I think that that's really valuable. The other thing that I'll just point out here, we have during this full moon and lunar eclipse, even though it's a slight lunar eclipse, it's very subtle. It isn't like a partial or a total lunar eclipse. So the energy isn't in that way as potent, but because of the placement of things, it has its own potency naturally to it. But we have what is here called a yod pattern, where we have the energy sort of hitting both the Venus energy in Pisces and Jupiter in Taurus, creating a sextile that has creating a quincunx with the south node. All right. And so nodal or mathematical points, they're not typically going to carry any like energy, but they receive the energy. And so that can create a focal point. And maybe what we'll see is through the full moon, the portal will, and then opening up into this eclipse portal, we'll begin to see the opportunities for releasing what needs to be released. So I'm just going to highlight a little bit about Venus in Pisces and Jupiter in Taurus. So Jupiter in Taurus has been here for a bit, and oftentimes it's the reminder that maybe more isn't always better. It can be expressed that way, but maybe it's actually to learn how to be content with and satisfied with more simple, not more material. And in that, we have it sextiling, creating this beautiful opportunity between Venus in Pisces that in and of itself is saying, I admire it, like the ability to find beauty in spirituality, beauty in meditation, beauty in music and arts, and in spiritual, like even religion can show up here, but like it's looking for and valuing the beauty. And because Venus is the ruler of Taurus, this sort of leads out the charge in this yod that is being created here. And so what do you value when it comes to your spirituality? Are you aligned to your spiritual priorities? And I think that's important because Neptune comes into conversation as well during this full moon. So ask yourself those questions. What do I value in my spiritual priorities? Am I in alignment with that? Is how I'm using my resources also aligned to that? And do I have any history, patterns in relationships that is compromising those priorities or those values? All right. And again, that might be the theme that you sort of expose as you go into the eclipse portal. The other thing I'll point out here, just because there is during this eclipse portal some conjunction energy, we can see we have Chiron here in Aries that's within conjunction to the node, so that plays a little bit of part, and we have Neptune here in conjunction with the sun. And so Neptune in Pisces, and it's direct energy, so it's going to be more of, am I doing the spiritual work, the meditation, the pondering, the prayer, the spiritual connection to your creator to get the downloads necessary to heal, and to create a new way forward, to have more vision of clarity of how you want to move forward. When you are avoiding that spiritual connection, you are going to run in the other direction and only create more problems for yourself. But people do this. Like, we get overwhelmed, we get fearful, and we really just don't want to like dive into understanding our spiritual purposes and how to live out that. This creates, Neptune and Pisces also invites us to, like I was saying, examine your relationship with the divine, but also open up that ability, that sixth chakra, that ability to see and connect to the heavens, and through dreams and meditation and other channels of of communication with your higher source. And for me, I think that that is showing up in my some of my practices. And again, this is where the nuance of it is of knowing where's Pisces hitting on your birth chart. And where are these planets at their degrees hitting on your birth chart? That is going to give you some indicators of how this shows up in your day-to-day life and what area of your life too. So that Neptune in Pisces is going to be there for another a year or so. And it's such a beautiful invitation to examine your spiritual practices and get in tune with your bigger purposes. The shift from Pisces energy into Aries is really this shift of saying, I have a vision. Now it's time to take action. So there might be like a gradual shift in your energy from what was last month as the sun moved through Pisces to what is this month as the sun is moving through Aries, where you're like, okay, for me to make this vision become reality, I need to change. I need to take action. I need to move forward. And that Aries energy is helping you do that. I will say another thing to recognize during this Aries season and the eclipse portal is identifying that Mercury will be going retrograde. So right now it's approaching its point of return into retrograde. And then we'll have it in retrograde as we go through our solar eclipse in 2 weeks. And then the new moon at that point. And so paying attention to your thoughts right now and where you might be overextending, overwhelming, or like taking in way too much, note that down, because when you go through retrograde season, it's going to be a time to review what you've been doing in the pre-shadow period of Mercury entering its retrograde phase. And I think that that is also important to highlight during this lunar eclipse, because the lunar eclipse and the eclipse season as a whole, because it's really, a personal planet. It's a strong energy of our mind and how we take in information and then how we analyze it. And the shift, the retrograde, is going to help us digest it and sort of make sense of that more. The other thing I would highlight about Chiron in Aries and its sort of significance during this is that Chiron, as it moves through Aries, is helping us be reminded of our real desire to be in loving and trusting relationships, and also maybe our insecurity in ourselves to be in a trusting and loving relationship. And so depending on your healing journey and your own Chiron, but it could look different, but regardless, it's an invitation to just really lean in and say, okay, how can I be a resource to my relationship, bring objectivity here? How can I break set patterns of self-destruction? How can I understand my thoughts and my emotions better so that I can show up in a healthier way in my relationships? And that is that Chiron sort of pointing to and sort of indicating, hey, this is the key to healing. In this energy point and where we're at right now, the more you do the work on yourself, you're going to unlock and heal other things in relationships in your life. It doesn't mean abandon everybody's situation is so unique. But I don't want to say like everybody needs to go divorce their partners or separate from their businesses. This is all very unique to everybody's own life and lived experience. But oftentimes we need to take responsibility for our own impressions, our own energy that is saying, this is the thing that needs to happen next for you. You need to grow in this way. And it's not necessarily to run away from the problem, but to take responsibility for ourselves and where we need to grow. I will also just add the Aries energy is such a big invitation to get centered in your body, to reconnect with the physical body through movement and through just remembering what it was like to feel yourself, to feel your body. So it would encourage you to pay attention to that as well. We have to highlight, of course, during the full moon, the rulers of the signs that we're highlighting, Libra and Aries. So we have Venus is the ruler of Taurus and Libra. So we talked a little bit about Venus, what we value, our spiritual values, our spiritual priorities actually are going to be influential in how we perceive our relationships and how we perceive how to use our resources in our relationships. All right. The ruler of Aries being Mars, it just entered Pisces, which brings its own intensity to, hey, maybe the answer is here in your spiritual practices more than in anything else. And we can see that there's like this heaviness in the Pisces and Aries and Taurus part of the chart that is really this invitation to like integrate the spiritual and the physical parts of ourselves. So I'd really encourage you, again, when you do meditation, use your body in the meditation, like walking meditations or breathing meditations, that kind of experience, that integration of the physical and the spiritual there. Let's see, I have like so many beautiful notes that as I was planning this, we talked about Mercury going retrograde, talked about importance of feeding our north node to benefit our south node. You know, the nodes are this integration of our sun and our moon. And so they do always play an important part. And it really is beautiful to see that play out during the eclipse portals, because we have significant points of the opposition of the sun and moon on a full moon and in a lunar eclipse. And then we have the conjunction of the sun and the moon on a solar eclipse. Is just a beautiful, beautiful rhythm that is really inviting us to step in and do the work to examine ourselves. And just remember that this is the midpoint of the eclipse cycle in Libra and Aries. Like I was saying, we've already experienced some of this in the last year, and we will still experience it towards the end of this year before the nodes shift out into Virgo and to Pisces. So do take the chance. I mean, so many people, we go around in life and we really do want to understand who we are and whose we are. And relationships are something we crave and generally want for healing. And they can be very, very powerful for many people in healing. So whether it's old wounds of broken relationships or old wounds of codependent and unhealthy patterns, whatever relationship wound that you are trying to avoid is going to drain you if you don't take the chance to develop and do the healing work that the North Node in Aries is inviting you to do. And I know most people don't love to hear this, but moving your body is a form of integration, the somatic work that happens through movement, through breath, and through releasing the issues from our tissues really is going to be powerful to take full advantage of these potent moments and really shift the energy for you into a new state, a new experience. So I would really encourage you as you enter this full moon and this eclipse portal is to look at what is it that is keeping you in old patterns of the past, and what is pulling you forward, and what ways can you express yourself. And maybe you can't think of it, and that's totally fine. Maybe you just need to move your body and it will be revealed to you through the movement of your body. And then you'll be like, oh my gosh, I see it now. I see it, and I'm going to move in that direction. So don't discredit, like, this is a potent time to integrate physical with the spiritual with the mental, right? Aries is the fire, Pisces is the water, and Libra is the air. So we're integration, and we still have planetary influence in Taurus as well. So it does hit all of those, but dominantly it's the fire and water with a little bit of this air energy that's saying, hey, like, don't get caught up in thinking about the past. Use your past to help like anchor how you want to move forward. And that, anyway, if you missed that, go back to the beginning where I talked about the importance of linking the past to the present and the future so you can integrate the energy and be able to safely move yourself forward into a new evolution of self and an identity of self. So that is all. I hope you find this super valuable as you go into eclipse season. And I'm excited for it myself. I encourage people to keep a journal because there's lots of insights that can happen and these openings of energy and the intensity of it that it presents. All right, so for this full moon season, an essential oil that also has come up for benefit is called Hinoki. So Hinoki is a Japanese cypress tree, and it's all about creating natural harmony. So as you go through the eclipse season, I would really encourage you to use this, well, especially during the full moon portal, and put it over your throat, put it over your voice, and help you it will help with meditation. It will help with those spiritual practices. It will help you sort of connect again your purpose. Are you in alignment? And I really do feel like eclipse season is a time of realigning. It's a time of shedding and of seeing what could be and can be, and then aligning those again. So with Hinoki, I would say it helps bring order and alignment. It sort of helps us like clear our mind, let go of the things that are sort of weighing us down, see with more clarity how like everything sort of needs to link up and then take action. It helps us take action in a divine direction that is more aligned to our spiritual and growth purposes. And it's really making sure that for whatever we want to create in our lives, we're not just we're aligned in mind and in body and in action, and in our voice. So we're trying to align all parts of us. You can even look at it as like all the chakras coming into alignment, so that you can move forward because of that alignment. It also is an invitation to take things that might seem extraordinary, like this is my vision, or this is what it could be, and actually simplify that through small incremental things. Like it's the small and steady things that can make a big change. And the other thing that I would say, because Aries energy, it can be intense. And when you have Mercury in Aries, it can be very direct and very forthright. And some people don't know how to handle that. So with Hinoki, the invitation is to learn how to channel your voice in a way where you don't have to yell to get yourself heard, but to learn. Have you noticed that sometimes when you speak softer, it changes people's reception of your voice? So if you have a lot of intensity right now, instead of yelling, I just can't move forward unless you do this or you do that, and trying to force your energy on another person, is the invitation to take a deep breath, listen, and then speak softly and communicate softly. A loud voice in this portal isn't going to help you shift the energy as much as a quieter voice, especially when Mercury moves into retrograde. That's going to be a huge shift and opportunity to do more listening than talking. And that won't happen. Mercury goes retrograde on April 1st, I believe. So you have a week or so to sort of like really reflect on, okay, what do I need to be said? What needs to be said? What is the most important thing here? And do I actually know what needs to be said if I haven't asked questions of this partner or this person in my life? So that's really an important thing. I will, anyway, Hinoki is a beautiful essential oil and has a beautiful energy to it for the throat chakra. But for all alignment, I would also say for any kind of spiritual work that you're doing. So use it during meditation. And it smells divine to me because I love trees, and it's just like a cypress, beautiful cypress tree, but a little more rich, a little more depth. Sort of reminds me of like a cypress sandalwood. Can I say that? Sandalwood has that richness to it, and Hinoki has that kind of richness, but it's a lighter, a little bit more fluid. Anyway, that's how I'm describing it for us. So as we move forward, I want to do some energy work together and really explore what we can clear And I had, as I was prepping for this, really felt impressed that there is a lot of mother energy to work on. I don't know how it will show up as we go through our session tonight, but I would encourage you to, the thing with our mothers is that we might have a really great relationship with our mother in some ways, but like we still need to do the mothering of our inner child. And sometimes we use mothers as scapegoats for the inner child work that we don't want to take responsibility for, right? We want to blame somebody else for the way that we are instead of saying, hey, I can change that. I have the ability to sort of reframe and own what it is I want to create from this moment forward. This can show up in a lot of different ways in people's energy systems, but we'll just see as we go through tonight's energy clearing on this. And so when I do energy work, just a reminder that I am surrogate muscle testing to identify for the group as a whole, what is the energetic blocks that are showing up. So when I do personal sessions, I can get more specific, but when I'm doing like group work, it's sort of it just holds a bigger energy. So I don't always get very specific in that, but for whatever comes up, if it's for you, then just receive it. And the best way you can receive with the work that I do, and I get a little technical. I go into very specific things of like energy systems and chakras and a timeline and generational and just it's not, I guess, your typical traditional energy work. I'm a little bit more analytical about it. And in that way, so I hope that you will not get too caught up in that, but you will let yourself breathe through and release. That is your job. As we begin this, that is your job to breathe. And if you have Hinoki on hand, just put that on and, cup a little drop on your fingers, cup it over your hand and your mouth and your nose, and just breathe that in and out to sort of help stimulate that nervous system calming. And we're going to help restore some more energetic balance overall to your physical and subtle body energy systems. So let us begin as we dive in. To start with a deep breath, you don't have to keep your eyes awake. If you have notes that, jot down thoughts, you're welcome to do that. And like I said, I'm going to be doing a surrogate muscle testing for where this energetic block is for the group as a whole. So we're going to start with the heart chakra that is coming up. And the heart chakra, again, center of the body. Think of the color green. Think of it like here. I'm actually finding a lot of people holding a very protective on the back side of the heart. So on the left side of the ribs on the back, I've found multiple people sort of holding on a little protective barrier and a guard there. So we're just going to sort of imagine yourself giving yourself a little massage on the back side of your heart. This is old hurts, old wounds, past. It could even be connected to mother energy. It could be connected to all other relationships where you felt sort of stabbed in the back or felt wounded and taken advantage of by another person. The energy that's showing up here that needs to be cleared is hatred specifically. And the affirmation I would say that we need to like set as solid and comfortable, like flows with us now, is it's safe for me to forgive others and allow my heart to move and allow my heart to heal. It is safe for me to move forward. I'll repeat that. It's safe for me to forgive others and allow my heart to heal. It is safe to move forward. All right, so we just imagine sort of that integration of past, present, and where you want to go in the future, and the merging of that, the channel opening, the possibility of a new way to move forward being presented before you because of your ability to forgive, to lay that on the altar, to surrender that old energy of the past, and to make peace with it so that your heart can be open to new possibilities and in the future. All right, take a deep breath with me. Let's integrate that together. We're going to move into the second chakra, your sacral chakra. Just think of the color orange. Just open your mind to that chakra by thinking of that color. And here, what's the emotion that's coming up is a lot of guilt that is centered in that space. We're going to start with the affirmation of I am grateful for this body as it is now, which opens us to the possibility that we feel guilty for maybe it not being what it used to be or what we want it to be. And so we can't be present in the moment for where it is now and what it has survived and experienced and lived through. So I want to just feel that. Put your hands over your sacral chakra, your lower abdomen. And I want you to send that sense of gratitude to this area. Maybe it's a color, maybe it's a smell that personifies the gratitude that just fills all the crevices of your sacral chakra. To restore safety to this space. The sacral chakra is so powerful for creating newness of life. And when this is imbalanced, whether it's through guilt or other things, victim or blame, it is so hard to create a newness of life. It's just the energy does not, it's sort of like turning on the faucet and have a drop coming out little at a time instead of the faucet turned on all the way and just a flow of energy. So when we're holding on to these emotions, it's more of that pause and that drop. So I'd encourage you again to send love, send gratitude here. So much gratitude for what it has been able to create, for what it is and where it is now and what it was. And pay attention to the insights and the other thoughts that come to your mind that you want to express in gratitude and love for this area of your life, to feel it, to fill, like FILL it up with that light and that energy and that frequency that's so powerful to restore it to harmony. All right. The other thing that is coming up here, we're going to say ethical relationship interactions, where you have an integrity level. Maybe you've shortchanged yourself or shortchanged others, not living aligned to your own integrity and values. And maybe somebody else has been doing that to you. It's like it could go both ways, right? But it's time to restore balance, restore integrity in this space, so that one, you operate in relationships and according to your values and your ethics, your honesty, and then you allow other people to fall out of your life or come into your life based off of that. Right? Take a deep breath. Okay. Well, now we're going to move into the auric layers, and we know that the auric layers and the let me actually stop sharing my screen here. The auric layers and the chakras, they work sort of in partnership together in exchanging of light and energy. the third auric layer is coming up to do some clearing with. This is where we filter, the auric layer helps filter out beliefs and ideas that might be impacting our sense of identity of who we are. Okay. And it feels like there's some, I would say, holes in this space, in this third auric layer. And often that can come from for a lot of different reasons. And it feels like it is in different people in different places. So I'm not going to identify exactly specifically where it is at. But when there are holes, we need to sort of suture them up or salve them and bind them up and heal those wounds, right? Those gaps in energy. And I want you to think of it's actually sort of interesting because it's not really a energy that we're familiar with in the earthly sense, but it's sort of an energy that's outside of this awareness, this earth, that needs to come in as a balm to these holes in the third auric layer. So we're going to allow that to be uniquely identified for every unique person that gets to listen to this. Come in and bind those holes up, restore them, so we can have a secure sense of self again. A confidence that comes with, again, having proper ideas and beliefs about ourself and how we show up in the world, and what is our opportunity and how we can show up in the world. Okay. The other chakra that's coming up is the sixth chakra that we're going to do a little clearing on. Intellectual abilities is what's coming up here as a weakness. Inviting in our optimal electrical and vibrational frequencies into this space. Aries rules, the sun is moving through Aries. Aries rules the head, the cranium, the parts of the brain, and just this area in general. One of the things I would encourage you as you go through Aries season is to remove, especially during full moon, take your phone out of your room when you sleep. Like, get that frequency away so that you can have reception to higher clarity of thought, higher frequencies that are going to help inspire you and guide you in how to navigate some of these self and relationship challenges that might be showing up for you. All right. All right, take a deep breath. The liver meridian is coming up as needing a flush, sort of a reset there. The third auric layer again is coming up. This time, this feels off balance, not out of balance, off balance, sort of tipped in a way. And we'll just clear that out. Take a deep breath. The radiant circuits is another energy system that I often utilize. This has a lot to do with mother energy, with your inner mom. What's coming up is the energy around wanting to be a mother on all of its complexities, the emotional, the physical, the spiritual, the mental, like the taxing of it all that is showing up for people. Don't need to know the specifics of it, but we're just opening and clearing that. Okay. All right. So that's all that is coming up to do for our full moon lunar eclipse clearing tonight. Yeah, there's nothing else to address, but I hope that this has been helpful for you, and a reminder that with greater awareness, with greater knowledge, we can make different choices. And I think that's empowering. Astrology is not, in my opinion, a tool of predictive work, as some people sort of categorize it, but more of this awareness of what is happening around us that we need to adjust to and we need to be aware of, and that we can actually step forward in personal responsibility and more alignment with our true self and our true nature. And for me, that requires lots of spiritual work. And it's such a beautiful opportunity to let the creations of God show me and help me navigate some of those intuitions and those healing works that I need to do. So I would encourage you to make time for yourself during this full moon and during the eclipse portal. I would love to have another video explaining more about the solar eclipse. There's a lot of opinions about the potency or the importance of this solar eclipse. And I have my own opinions on that. I don't know if I'll share them all, but I feel like more than anything, whatever's happening in the world around you, you cannot get lost in all of that, and you still have to live your day to day. And so seeking to be in tune with your creator and source of light, that's going to help you navigate whatever external circumstances there are. So just encourage you to make time for that, and seek through meditation or prayer or journal writing or pondering or serving or moving your body. All these things are great ways of just getting in the energy of the moment, receiving the light and knowledge and intelligence that needs to flow into you to be able to move forward. So thank you guys for letting me share this with you. Hopefully you find some insight and growth throughout this eclipse season, and I'll talk to you later.